disipan el miedo, donde tus aportes a la sociedad se evidencian, donde se reconoce que tus luchas reivindican derechos para todas y todos. Radio Jornalera destaca a la gente humilde que pelea por sus derechos a pesar de sus circunstancias de despojo y marginación. Eleva a los individuos y sus luchas y muestra cómo la clase trabajadora y humilde puede ser agente de cambio cuando se organiza, cuando se defiende y cuando tiene una lectura correcta de su propia realidad. Radio Jornalera provee el espacio para aprender de los invitados e invitadas sobre sus vidas, lo que les motiva a seguir adelante, sus virtudes y desafíos y hasta su música y poesía favorita. Radio Jornalera recalca el trabajo de activistas, organizadores, educadores y algunas celebridades, sus causas, sus campañas, sus estrategias, sus tácticas y los reveses más duros en el perenne quehacer de formar líderes para hacer el mundo más justo, más humano, más inclusivo. Para cambiar el mundo, primero hay que conocer a las personas que sobreviven las injusticias y políticas públicas groseras. Hay que apoyar y solidarizarse con sus luchas, porque desde abajo se defiende a todo mundo. Radio Jornalera, donde los anhelos y el sentir del pueblo trabajador cobran vida.
Buenas tardes con todos, todas y todes, buenas noches o buenos días donde se encuentren. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí en su programa Desde el Sur. Hace mucho tiempo que no nos habíamos visto, pero estamos aquí en Radio Jornalera, ya sabe, vamos a estar también conectándose y compartiendo más entrevistas de política y más que todo un poco hablando desde el sur. Desde ahí es de donde venimos, entonces por eso es que hemos compartido un poco de entrevistas y de experiencias. Así que contáctenos, ponga un mensaje, trate de compartir este link con sus amigos, sus familiares. Vamos a empezar una entrevista y vamos a estar hablando sobre la realidad de Palestina, cómo este conflicto, cómo este genocidio está ahora pasando y sigue pasando y cómo empezó y un poquito de la historia. También tenemos a una compañera invitada. Muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros, Sireen Sawalha. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So thank you so much for coming. I highly, highly appreciate it. Thank you for making the effort to come all the way here. How you feeling? How is everything with you?
Great, thank you.
Good. So we're gonna start. This interview is gonna be in English. We're gonna try to see if we can translate here and there, but we're gonna mainly do this interview in English. And the first thing I wanted to start, so people can get to know you a little bit. And the first question that I was thinking is, you usually ask for your name and where you come from and all this, but I really want to know who you are. If you can just explain us in a really quick sentences who you are, and if someone that doesn't know you is asking you like who you are, tell me.
So, hola everyone. Hello. um, First, my name is Sireen Sawalha, and who I am, I'm a Palestinian woman, came from a small, tiny village in Palestine, and one of 13 children. So my mom and dad had 13 children,
Okay,
8
good.
girls and 5 boys.
All right. Say hi to everyone.
Yeah. As soon as I finished my high school education, I moved to Jordan for college. And from Jordan, I met somebody and I get married and moved to the United States. And actually, I moved to New York 1990. My background education in Jordan was in finance. I work in a bank there. But as soon as I moved to New York City, I get the opportunity to work in the United Nations. And it was one of the best experience. I lived through the Iraq War, the invasion of Kuwait. I lived through the Oslo Agreement with the Bill Clinton, and I left the UN having a family and children, and went back to graduate school to become a history teacher.
Wow. How was the experience? How long were you in the UN?
I was for over 12 years. I loved it, of course. I have the opportunity to meet so many diplomats, presidents, secretary of states, royal family. Like I remember meeting a couple of royal family from Jordan, especially. It was really a great experience. I love that time, and I wish I can go back to there, especially after you try education. Um, le- Recently, education is very hard. There is a lot of interference by the board of education, by the parents, and so many regulation that the teacher has no freedom to teach, especially history, the way I would love to teach it. I have to stick to the book and the bias views and all of that. So, anyhow, my experience was
This
great.
is funny because I was probably 3 years or 3 years and a half working on the embassy of Ecuador and the
Oh,
Ecuadorian consulate. We were
in New York.
super close in New York.
In New
Yeah,
York,
yeah, yeah.
yes.
I was actually working in Washington D.C. and then I moved to New York.
Mm.
But so what was your main role in the UN? You were part of
It's just I worked closely with the Jordanian mission to the UN, of course, with the Palestinian too, with the Arab leagues. I sat in meetings from General Assembly to Security Council to press release, and it's mostly communication, kind of back and forth between the embassy and the government and news and other fields. And it just was like an abroad experience by doing kind of like I have the first information about conflicts. I remember living through Bosnian and Herzegovina war. I remember living through the sanction against Iraq. I played a role in that. I remember even talking about the Palestinian refugees and sitting in committee for refugees or sitting in committee for women. So there is many areas I kind of experience working in the UN. And the other thing is getting to meet people from all around the world, learn about
uh
all the cultures, and getting the experience to travel to so many parts of the world. That was like one of the best time there.
you've been traveling a lot.
I did travel. So this is how travel become for Palestinian. Actually, I don't know. It's kind of a obsession because born and raised in a small village 20 minutes from Jini in the major city, either we are curfew or Israeli soldier prohibiting us from crossing checkpoints and areas. So literally, I never left my city until I finished high school to Jordan for education. And I think I was sent to Jordan because my parents feared a lot me being involved with protest and violence and being arrested. So I never get the chance to travel. So as soon as I left Palestine, like I want to see everywhere around the world. I want to experience all the food. I want to talk to all the people and get to all the culture. So it
Beautiful.
became a hobby for me running around from last summer from Peru to Vietnam to Japan to London. Like I literally within one summer I visited so many places around the world. So it's nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So now, why New Jersey?
Why New Jersey? That's a good question. Good question.
After being in a lot of places, if you
So,
can please get close to the mic a
oh
little
yeah,
bit. Yeah, thank
when I moved from Jordan and got married to New York and worked in the UN, and I never thought of a New Jersey. I will visit diplomat colleagues who live in Fort Lee off George Washington Bridge, and that's I think the most I knew about in New Jersey. And the stereotype on New Jersey highways, strip malls, and all of that. But I was invited to a lecture in Princeton University around Christmas time, no, December, beginning of December for Christmas. And I fell in love with the area. And right away, I went back to New York and I sat in the computer and started looking at real estate within the area. And I felt like small little town, good school for my children. It's funny to say, my son hobby was soccer, so he wants to play football. We call it in Spanish and in Arabic football.
you. Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I need in New Jersey. It's the best place for him to join leagues and play soccer. And he ended up playing soccer in school, town, travel
Palestine
team.
has a national soccer team, no?
Yes. And
Yeah.
actually, there is an old movie was done in the early 90s about a Palestinian soccer team making it to to um, almost to the World Cup, but not to the World Cup. But it's called, I think, Goal, something like that. And yeah, so for Palestinian soccer or football is very important. And I felt living in New York City, I'm not giving my children this opportunity. Soccer, lacrosse, camping, the outdoor, and living in a village in Palestine, in Kufr Rai, my village, having the backyard, the front yard, the vegetables out of my garden, my tomato, my cucumber. So I dreamt of that. It's funny when we came to the house, it has a good size of land, and there no electricity. It was the evening after work. I finished from the UN around 6. By the time we get to New Jersey, Christmas time was really dark. I opened my phone in the flashlight. I looked around. I was like, oh, there is a backyard enough to be a soccer field. So we're buying the house. That's what the decision really. I never put a foot in the house as much
How
as.
long? How long have you been here in New
So I
Jersey?
moved to New Jersey 2001.
Wow. Okay. Me houses were a little cheaper back then.
Oh yeah,
No.
yeah, the house. And plus, my husband is an architect, and I did not care what the house looked inside because I know he's gonna tear it apart and he's gonna fix it and renovate it. So it's just I care about the
What's the name of your
structure.
husband?
Yeah. Sorry.
What's the name of your husband?
He's Palestinian. We're divorced now,
Oh,
and
okay.
he moved out of the country
Oh.
over 17 years ago. So yeah,
Wow,
he was
that's
moved
life,
to.
right?
Yeah,
Like you move for somebody and then you just
yeah.
like have to
So
let it
yeah,
go.
I raised my children in the house, and that what caused me to quit my job,
And then you need
go
something
back,
local.
to Ryder University, did a master degree in education, and I became a high school teacher because I want to be a mom. I want to finish at 3 with my children. I want to spend spring break, summer break with them. So it just like was a good fit for a mom and for my.
Beautiful.
I always used to say, I want to teach people history. People will ask me some certain question, especially here in America, and they don't know anything. Where is Palestine? Where is that? And I have to open a map and point at it. So I felt everybody is born in geography and in history, and here I am. I'm going to change the world, but it's a totally different. Yeah.
So then you high school teacher, what grade do you
I
teach?
teach this year. I teach 10th grade and 11 and seniors 12th grade. So I teach U.S. history, uh, and I teach AP human geography for seniors and 10th grade, 11th graders.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know you want to talk about your book. When that happened, or it happens in the middle of all this, or you want to. I'm not sure if you want to start talking about what's going on in Palestine. But before that, I want to ask you this question, and I have it here, and I was like thinking, how can I ask this? But I want you to please, with all your respect, to explain it to us like you explain it to like a little kid, right? My daughter is 9, right? And she asked me the other day, like, why are you watching so many news about the war and like you keep doing it? And she asked me to explain it to her. I did my best, and we also watch YouTube videos. But I want you to take this time and explain to everyone that is looking out there, right?
Mhm.
A todos los que nos están viendo afuera, que nos explique en palabras simples, in a simple sentences. And I know it's going to be hard because it's a history of war, but I wanted to take this time to honorate, but also to for people to understand that the war, this genocide didn't start in October 7th, and people has this misperception over and over and over. And I would like you to take the time to just give us a little bit of history and a little bit of also how and people to understand. People needs to understand what's going on, you know.
So, like you just mentioned my book because that will give you a good review. So, my dad passed away here in the United States in 2005. And after his death, I met somebody who says, you like to talk about Palestine. You have so many stories. How about record yourself telling those story, and maybe one day we'll write it for a book. And I start, everyone is there, I'll sit for a few hours, open the recording and recording myself. And then I start with the first 1948. And that's how you're going to explain it. In 1948, my father and my grandmother live in Nazareth. And we know Nazareth is the place of birth for Mary, Jesus'
The
mom,
Jesus, yeah.
right? So religiously is one of the holiest city too. It's not like just Jerusalem and Bethlehem. In 1948, the Palestine over history have so many people came in, from the Roman to the Muslims to generation and years of war and violence. Then World War I ended and the Ottoman Empire fell, which is they had full control of Palestine, and Jordan and Syria and Lebanon and Saudi Arabia. They're all part of one empire called the Ottoman Empire, which is last around 699 years actually. And then Palestine became this own identity, but the British mandated it. Mandated is forced government to rule the area.
Mhm.
As soon as the Ottoman pulled in 1919, when they lost in World War I, and they lost because they sided with the German in the war. Anyhow, so a lot of Jewish immigrants from Europe start immigrating to Palestine. I just want to say Palestine was the center of religion for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And we all know those religions stem from each other. And then it has percentage of Christian, percentage of Muslim, and percentage of Jewish. So the three were living peacefully. Look at history. There is not one story you could see that the Palestinian and the Muslim and the Jewish and the Christian ever fought before the British mandate. The British mandate came in, encouraged a lot of Jewish immigrants by the thousand coming from Europe to Palestine. So when you are sitting in your home and some immigrants coming to your home, which is we see a lot of immigrants coming to this country, and we
Yeah.
all immigrant to this country.
Mhm.
Do I remove the original people of the home, or I buy a land, I buy an old house, I fix it, I moved in? When I moved from Jordan to the US, I did not kick somebody out of their home. I moved, adapted to the culture, to the life, and lived there. But we have the Zionist movement came in Europe, and the idea to create a safe country or haven to the Jewish population. Okay, create one, but who's going to pay the price? The Palestinian who are living there. So all these Jewish immigrants coming in, they're buying homes, they're buying land, they're living with the Palestinian, everything is fine. 1948, they declare by first resolution for the UN, Israel as a state. Okay, but Israel as a state, what's going to happen to the Palestinian? You're coming, knocking on my door and telling me you're out, and this is my home now. Who give you the right? A resolution happened in New York City. That's how it's happened, literally. My grandfather,
Dictated by the United
British.
States and
British, and the United States later on,
yeah,
but it's there started by the British.
but the
By the British. Now, when I go back to my book, I said, my brother, my land. My land is my father, my grandfather lived in Nazareth. He was married, has two children, one named Abdullah and one Abdul Karim. His wife got sick and died, and he wants to marry a second wife to raise the children. He married my grandmother. She had only my dad, which is his name is Ahmed. So the war broke. My grandmother, my dad is young, grabbed him, run. She left Nazareth and to Jenin, which is by car now is 20 minutes, but during that time, no transportation. I'm not sure how many hours or how many days she walked with
my
this
God.
young boy. But what happened is his two older brother from his half brother stayed in Nazareth. My father never seen his brother. He became a refugee in the West Bank, and 1948 it became with Israel, and we separate family. So the two brothers lived in Nazareth. My father lived in Jenin with his grandmother, my grandmother. Grow up, moved to Abu Dhabi, to the United Arab Emirates to work. 19 years later, exactly, 1967 war happened. 1967 war happened. The first war, 1948, for thousands of Jewish immigrants coming from Europe after the Holocaust, taken our homes. 600,000 Palestinians fled as refugees. Those people left their home, did not take a clothes. Some of them left the food in the stove, grab whatever little they can, and run days and nights until they ended up in refugee camp in Jordan, refugee camp in Syria, refugee camp in Lebanon, and in refugee camp in the Palestinian West Bank, which is now the West Bank. We have a refugee camp in Jenin, which is, if you watch the news today, 11 students in a high school were killed, a teacher and a doctor last night. And until now, it's been 24 hours under curfew. There is a refugee camp, Balata, in Nablus. There is 2 refugee camp in Ramallah, and there is refugee camp in Hebron. So all of these people, and Gaza, I'm sorry, I forgot Gaza. The biggest refugee camp became Gaza. Those people who live in Gaza now, they're refugees from 1948, who they used to live in Tel Aviv and Jaffa and Akka and all these cities. The 1 million of Jewish refugees came from Europe and took it. And they became refugee in Gaza. There was not people in Gaza. So anyhow, to make it short, 1967 war happened. My mom has 3 girls. I'm the youngest one. I'm few months old. My dad in Abu Dhabi, in United Arab Emirates, says to my mom, how about you come and visit me? And if you like it this summer, you could live with me. Instead of I'm living in United Arab Emirates, you're living in Palestine, in a small house next to your family. She agreed. She took her 3 girls and went to Amman, Jordan. She got there, the war broke down. She was in a hotel. She heard in the news the Palestinian lost and the Israeli won. And the Palestinian again were refugee again, and thousands of people. Stories of 1948, the Yassin massacre, Tantura massacre, all villages disappeared. Hundreds of villages wiped out of the map of Palestinian homes, and all these Palestinians became refugees. So my mom, listening all these stories, all these massacres, she thought of her family will be massacred. Her home is gone. She no way can live in a refugee camp. She took the 3 girls and walked back opposite the traffic. People after the end of 1967 are escaping to Jordan. My mom is going back to Jordan to save the land and the home. So when she did that, of course, my father, she could not see him until 1970. And 1971, I still remember it. I was like 6 years old. He took me and we went for the first time to see his 2 brothers in Nazareth. You're talking about from 1948 until 1971, you did not see your 2 brothers.
Damn. That's more than how old were your brother?
His brother,
His brothers.
his 2 brothers, the one I said
Yeah,
half
yeah.
brother from before. They were already married. One of them has already 5 children. And that was the last time he ever saw them.
Wow.
So that's the issue. And then if we're going to go to make it simple, people believe that the Jewish has the right because the Roman Empire, what are you talking about? We're going to say to people, thousands of years ago, you used to live in that neighborhood, your ancestor. So I always think of that. The Irish came the US after the Irish famine, potato famine. Could they go back now to Ireland and says, hey, 200 years ago before I moved to America, this is my land and this was my house? They can't. So when people keep telling me the story, then who I am? Should I make a genetic testing and says my great grandfather born in Nazareth?
But I also, but also is, I understand that it's like a whole thing going on locally, but also is Israel who is trying to push away Palestinians and putting in like in this like a cage.
Right.
Then
That's the refugees,
'cause
cages. So Israel, so this is a,
is the political system that has been also covered
Yeah.
by countries like United States that is also like supporting this genocide. And we are just listening about this, and more people is being talking about it, and like more people has been doing in schools and camps and all this.
No,
I
no,
think it's because of the social media. Back then,
no
you
social
didn't have
media.
no social media. You
No
couldn't
social
post a
media.
video.
So, for example, like I always tell it to young kids, you knock in my door, you're lost. Or you lost your home, you lost everything, and you're knocking in my door. And I open the door and I have a pizza pie in the table. I offer you one slice. Does that mean eat all of it and kick me out? Or I give you one room in my house. You kick me out of the rest of the house after a few months or a few years and say, this is my house. That's what they're doing. Settlers moving to Palestinian homes and land, kicking them out and says, this is my promised land. God promised us this land.
And this and they using this God thing
Which
as an
religion?
excuse.
Right. There is no religion should encourage violence.
Exactly.
Okay. Christianity. So I always say, if I do my DNA with Mary, I could be related. I'm from Nazareth. I I look
And
at
actually, the Catholics believe that he was born in Nazareth.
right. Yes. And then when you search my last name, Sawalha, you will get a biggest percentage of my family name. And from there are Christians. So historically, we could be Jewish, and then Jesus came in with his message, converted to Christianity. Muhammad came with his message, and some people converted to Islam. Some people stayed Christians. I met
There's
so
a big
many.
population of Christians,
Yes,
and yeah, I think
yes,
this is something that people has to also understand,
understand.
because people think that it's just Muslims and it's also Christianity. And
Yes,
I was reading there is also some Catholics.
of course. And you could see and Copts. There is the problem is the ignorant in educating this topic just because we are biased to Israel and we have to give them always the credit. They have the right to defend themselves. The, who should have the right to defend themselves? Us? We came to the land. We were there first. They came to the land.
Yeah.
We came to this country and we did the same thing to Native Americans.
But exact, I was we are so
We
connected.
did the
I
same
was
thing
just
to
gonna
Native
say that.
American.
But
And
but but
I
the
don't want
thing,
to see my Palestinian people ending up like the Native American. And that's what I see now.
and but that's exactly my point, is when politics and a system that is also uh around the capital, the money is first, and they put in the money and the money on the first part and not on the second part, and not the last part, but it's always first, then humanity. I think that's the key of it, and to understand this is actually what happened to the Native Americans, is because the capitalism or the system is actually pushing us, excluding us from a system that when they don't like us, when they don't care about us, they want to push it away. And I think those are the politics that are run. 37 more, over 37 people die
Yeah.
in Palestine in the last, and they're saying this is a war, is not a war. They were in the beginning, they were mentioning, and just like last week, I heard that President Biden was gonna give them more money. Like I think it's like
And
1 million or
he
1
gave
billion.
them for the Israeli?
But yeah,
Oh, no, they gave them.
1 billion.
Yes,
One
they gave them.
billion. Biden administration
The only
just
thing he,
plans to give them 1 billion in weapons to Israel.
yeah, the budget was not going to be approved until they give Ukraine and Israel. The thing is, people don't understand is those people who are living in Gaza, they're all refugee. Those people who are living in Gaza is the same people who in 2006 we bombed them and killed all their parents and their family members. The same people who are in 2014. Those people who's now old and they are parents, they're the children, the orphanages of the family who were killed in 2006 and 2000. This is not the first attack in Gaza. And since 2004, Gaza is a prison. It's closed. I go to visit my family in Jenin. If I'm traveling to Mexico, you take a plane direct to Mexico. If you're going to Cuba, you take a plane maybe and a transit here and there. Palestinian. I'm talking about Palestinian who I carry an American citizen since 1993. I'm not allowed to fly to Tel Aviv because in my American passport, it says place of birth, Palestine. So I have to fly to Jordan, Amman. And from Amman, Jordan, I have to take a taxi to the Jordanian border. Jordanian border have to search me, document, wait in line for hours and hours is in the Dead Sea, the hottest spots in earth, no air condition. And then,
And then so you can cross to see your family.
no, not yet. You take a bus.
Oh,
It
shoot.
take you hours to get to those buses. Your luggage will go in the top of the bus. Bus is no air condition. And then the bus, all they have to cross the Jordan River to the Israeli side, 10-minute ride in the bus. And then when you get to the Israeli side, the soldiers is not in a good mood to get you off the bus. There is one time, it was the World Cup, and we were in London, and my kid says, we don't want to watch the final game in Europe. Can we go to Palestine? I want to see it in the village, in the big screen downtown with all the kids in the street. And I said, yes. If we leave today, the World Cup in 2 days. We were held for 18 hours.
Oh my
I
God.
have video of the whole sitting in the bus, my kids crying. All I have 2 bottles of water. I did not have snacks or any food. And all these women who knew the rules and knew how much we could be tortured is giving me, this has an extra crackers, this have an extra banana, has an extra sandwich. It took us 2 o'clock in the morning the following day to enter
Gosh.
from the Israeli checkpoint
Back to your country. Back
to
to
my
you.
city,
Back to
which
your
is
city.
20 minutes. I'm talking about ride. They stop you. First, they take you to a room, woman alone, men alone, strip you naked. Totally. They went because I have curly hair behind my ears, all around, left my arm. My son diapers has to be taken because I could have a bomb in the diapers. Um, Cream, perfume, clothing, everything has to be searched. And then your shoes has to go through a machine in case if you have a bomb in it. And then after that, they let you go. They let you go.
Wow.
It's the most humiliation procedures. I have been going
In the
through that
history.
since 1948 when I left from Palestine to Jordan for college and I came to the US. And every time my kids go through with me, they cry. We don't want to ever come back. All our friends go vacation to their parents and grandparents. It's short vacation. Why we have to spend 2 days in the border? And then you get home, you're exhausted
Yeah.
because from the border to your village, there is checkpoints.
And
Checkpoints
how you
every 10 minutes.
explain this to your children, right? Like how you make them understand that this is reality when they probably have gone to another countries and they could just get in,
Oh,
right?
in the beginning, they used to cry and hated it. I have so many videos. My daughter, I don't want to die there. I could make any wrong move in the checkpoint and they shoot me. And they're right because they see that in the news. If you are in a checkpoint and you want to take a bottle of water for your bag, they don't wait for you to see it's a water. They right away shoot in you. Anyhow, my kids in the beginning, when they were young, they will cry, they were stressed, they were fearing, they will not tell their friends they're going to Palestine. But then the older they get, they start reading about it, understand it, and I start taking them to serve in refugee camps. I start showing them how fortunate we are and look what's happening here to these children like you. And then they start loving to go and spend the summer. And every summer they look forward to go because they would love to help.
So this is a genocide that has happened not just in after the Hamas attack in October 7 of 2023. But what can you tell us about this also misperception that a lot of workers, for example, when they have show up to meetings, they've been saying like, you know, this is what the news saying that they are terrorists and Hamas is there, and the war is not the word because it's a genocide, but the war is not against the people, the civilians. This is against a terrorist group. But let me just give you some data. I was just doing some research. More than 35,000 people has been in hospital reporter. More than 15,000, 1470 something, 1,400, 40,778 children were assassinated buy bombs from United States with this is so funny because it's a picture that has a made in USA. It's like so the hypocrisy that we live in
It's
nowadays
true.
i-
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
is 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 reporters. Reporters, more than 67 reporters assassinated,
Yeah.
and more than 7,000 people that are not that are misdisplaced. So I wanted to, I wanted to actually ask you that question too. There's people that are saying that is against Hamas, and this is not against civilians. What can you tell us about that?
So for me, history change first. And look at the Roman Empire, look at the Ottoman Empire, look at the British and their colonization, look when we support one country over another nations and violate all this human right violation, and you listed all the people who were killed with handmade with weapons made in the US with my tax money. For me, Hamas is not a terrorist. For me, is a resistant. If we don't resist, and Mandela was a terrorist, was in the terrorist list.
The thing is that
And
who
he
tell you you are terrorists, and the people that
You-
terrorize in countries, you know,
So Nelson Mandela was a terrorist, and he spent 26 years
in
in
prison.
prison. And then when he came out, became the leader of the country, and history changed. And we have Mandela statues and quotes in every school, and we teach it. The same thing. So let me go back. What they want from the Palestinian people, not to resist. When a settler knock in my door, like now, my house in Jenin, which is a settler can knock in the door and says, "This is my home. This is my promised
And
land."
that's it.
And I will say, "Yes, you're welcome. This is my key. Let me move to a refugee camp in Jordan and Syria." What do they want us? What do they want the people in Gaza who's been under prison for years and years, not allowed to go out for education? Their fence, their fence. Israel, if you listen to Netanyahu's speech in the Security Council in September 23rd, he stand up in the middle of the Security Council. You could look it up, and he left a map convincing the US and everybody there that he could open trade route and build a canal in Gaza. So the plan was before October 7th to do what they're doing to the people. So these people, how long they have to stay in prison? How long they have to be locked? No food, no medical, no access travel to them except from Egypt. And every now and whenever Israel wants, they can close the border of between Egypt and Gaza. How long people in the West Bank, how long I'm living in Jenin every time in the summer when I go visit my family, I have to stop in every checkpoint and be searched. How long I cannot sleep at night because at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, they knock on my door to search for this person is wanted. This person, we get a news that he is owning a gun. This person, we get a news that he is talking about fighting the Israeli or killing the Israeli. Me, myself, my brother was killed, and he was in the armed resistance. And I will never dare say my brother wasn't. Israel report him as a terrorist. But the Israeli bombed my house, took all my childhood, all my memory. I did not have any picture of my childhood.
Try to
They,
get a little closer to the mic.
they came in at 2:30 in the morning, asked my family to step outside with their pajamas, barefoot, from their sleep, and then they put bombs and bombed the whole two-story floor house. So for me, when my brother gets sentenced in prison for 215 years,
Oh my God.
this is resistant. So the people in Gaza, sooner or later, you can abuse the people, you can prison them. Over 10,000 Palestinians are in prison, men and women. Young kids are in prison. There is not one home in Palestine if it lost a brother, lost a husband, lost a sister, lost a neighbor, lost a friend, or lost a home. So what do you want people to stay silent? We stay silent, nothing happened. Martin Luther King started with peaceful protests. What happened? They killed them, they tortured them. The march, so many people were violently. He was killed. Malcolm X was killed. Violence and violence and violence. And that's the same thing. Palestinian people, we tried peacefully protest. We tried negotiation with Oslo agreement with Yasser Arafat. It did not get us in anywhere. We lost money. We lost land. It just, people have to understand that you will be in your land farming, and a settler will walk in with his gun and says, "Hey, I wanted this land. I like it. Can you get out?" And they did it many times. And then you have to give them a smile and says, "Yes, it's yours.
Yes, thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for coming because this is your promised land. Here's I've
This is
been
my
working
land."
here for 20 years.
Yeah. I met somebody in the car in a taxi. I was going to the Israeli headquarters to get a permission. My dad has diabetes and his leg is infected. My mom has to call me from here, from New York, to travel to take him to a hospital in Nablus because Janine has been for 6 months under curfew. And because I'm an American citizen, I could take him in an ambulance and send him to a hospital. By
Where
the time
in Israel or in
oh no, we're
Palestine?
not allowed in
Yeah,
Israel.
yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
Palestine, in a different city.
Oh, in a different
By
city.
the time I get to Jenin, I have to apply for a permission for the Red Cross ambulance
Inside of
inside. The ambulance,
this is something that I think it has to we have to understand this. It's like the border in Mexico or it's like the border or in Canada that is around Gaza
yeah,
and that you cannot leave out of
you
the
cannot
border.
leave. It's like you are here in Piscataway. You need a permission to go to North
So that's
Brunswick.
exactly
That's
good.
how
That's
we
like a
are.
yeah, yeah.
We have walking. So for me to take him from Jenin to Nablus, it's a half an hour drive to a hospital. I have to have a permission from the Israeli for the Red Cross to send me an ambulance. By the time we get him to Nablus and get all this paper done, Gargarina was in his leg. He ended up lost his leg, has to be amputated. That's my dad.
Oh my
So
god.
when I was in the taxi to go get the permit, a man in his 40, 45 crying next to me. And I'm curious. I want to know why. He said, I was in Kuwait, 1990. Saddam Hussein invaded, the war happened. I came back from Kuwait, whatever money I saved, my father said I should get married, build a house next to his house, take his land and farm it. So he went and bought 500 baby trees of olives. Olive tree, for the information, it takes 5 to 7 years to harvest. He said last week the Israeli came in, knocking the door after 10 years from planting them and
Oh,
taking care of them, and said, "Sorry, we need your land. But by the way, we need the land without the olive trees.
so take it out.
Do you want them?" 2 o'clock in the morning. He looked outside. There, all the 500 olive trees are stacked in a big truck.
Oh god.
Do you want your olive trees? And he's crying, going to the court to sue the Israeli. Oh, you cannot sue anybody. When my brother was killed, I called Amnesty. I went in the UN. I cried. I was so upset. I want to sue everybody. I want revenge. Nothing. Israel is untouchable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Netanyahu is committing a genocide with how many we
Not
need?
even the prosecutor. The prosecutor of the international courts just
They called for his
they
arrest
call
yesterday.
for
The US was crazy.
yeah.
Oh, Joe Biden said it's not a genocide. 15,000 children were killed. Imagine you're going to a place, all the school age students killed. Today, a young boy in Jenin, in my city, walking in the street in his bike, sniper, Israeli sniper killed him. What he's doing to you? His bike, he's riding his bike.
Yeah.
After
And
7 o'clock, we don't dare to step outside of our house. It's like when you watch movie and you hear about the gang. Like, we can't. We don't know where the sniper is going to shoot in us. They come in, they kick you out of your home, and they search it. There is one time they came to my house to search my house, and they noticed in the balcony, my mom has a green thumb, love plants. She has every beautiful flowers all around. He looked at my mom, looked at the plant, and he says, you like plants. You see what I'm going to do to them. He got his gun, 200 bullets.
wow.
All the planters, all the dirt. I have picture of it until now. She crying over her flowers. She called me crying. Nothing left in the balcony. That's what they do. They walk in and they terrorize you. They scare you with their guns.
And
The gun made in the US.
and they tell people buy ox taxpayers. But the other thing is that the USA are thinking and putting a list of terrorist countries or a list of terrorists across the country and across the globe.
Yeah.
um I want to close with few words. I want to ask people if you can please just leave your comment. We don't have a lot of time to take some comments and questions, but I wanted to actually appreciate for all your stories. I wanted to see if there's any possibility that we can schedule another interview. Maybe we're gonna have to go to your house and get all these interviews. But I actually want to see if you can please send a message to people out there that is still not believing that this is a genocide, that they are still justifying what's going on because of a misperception. Because you know what, I was thinking the other day, like, this has to go beyond politics, beyond religion, beyond point of views. This is like people dying, people are killing, you name it. This is wrong from whatever side you see it. Yes, in a war you have to, people has to die, people has to survive. But when you are fighting a war between 10 and 10 is a war, but when you are fighting between 100 people and one people, that's not even a fight,
It's
that's
not a
not
war.
even
Not
a
a war.
war.
Right.
It is a genocide. The prosecutor is accusing, the international courts are accusing. In the other hand, I also wanted to recognize though that this has been the breed of a different movements in United States,
Yes.
because we were dead about politics. I don't know what's going to happen in the elections. Nobody's believing in Biden is like going down. We don't know with the crazy Trump what's going to happen. But like, I feel like it is about humanity, and is also is given the breed and the oxygen the different movements needs for in this country. The dream that Martin Luther King mentioned, what Malcolm X has mentioned is happening, what the Black Panther fires are happening right now. They've been saying this for years, that this country are the one who are putting the money outside, who are one of the biggest business of United States is the army, is the arms, is like how are you selling, how are you putting how are you selling bombs, how are you selling helicopters, military. So I just wanted to mention all this and to close up us. Sireen, if you can please just send us a message
Yes.
of hope. I don't know if it's going to be hope in this situation, but send us a message to the people that are there, that are also fighting the same technology that Israelis are using in the border of Mexico, and they when they're trying to cross the border. Send us that message and send it to them a little bit of why it's important to organize and to resist.
Yeah. So first, I want to tell people, reading, and reading, and listening to every views. Media in the US are biased, 100% biased. They show you what they want to do. They are controlled by our politicians, and us are brainwashed with so many false news. That's number one. Number two, religion is the most peaceful thing. There is no religion in the world will encourage violence. So anybody is telling you Christianity and Muslim and Judaism and Hinduism and Buddhism, those, every religion, if you read and depth in it and educate yourself about it, no religion is encouraging violence. So when people says, "Oh, the Muslim are more terrorist, more violent," that's not true, because there is not much different in all the three religions. We call them the Abrahamic religion, and they all stem from Abraham. That's number one. Number two, the thing is, I see difference of the youth. You guys are the one who changed the political arena. Like you said, people age 18 to 28 are the least to vote. So you need to vote. And before you vote, vote for the person who are welcoming immigrants. Who can say we cannot have immigrants? This country is built in immigrants.
Yeah,
When Columbus came into this country, Christopher Columbus came in with immigrants.
yeah.
The Native American are the only people have the right to this land we're standing in. So we all immigrant. You are welcome from Ireland. You are welcome from Germany. You are welcome from France. You are welcome from Mexico. And then this country without the immigrants, all these different culture and food and style of clothes and style of the languages, those beautiful languages we speak, those beautiful food we try, immigrant brought it to this country. This country is love violence. We profit from gun violence. Every time there is a gun shooting in a school or any public place, the gun sale go up, so they benefit. The gun control our politicians. They put a lot of money to fund their campaign. So it's time for us to speak up, elect the people who really care about our issues. People who really for immigrants, people who already for homeless, people who already for education. Are the people who want to put in her office. All these politicians, I'm sadly to say, are corrupt. They go run politics because they get paid by eh, certain weapons, gun controls, political people who are profiting from Israel and the violence happening in Israel. We're selling them billions of dollars of weapons to kill innocent Palestinian. And people are looking at, oh, because of Hamas, October 7. No, no, no. There is more death. My brother was killed in 2002. There was no Hamas.
Yeah.
There was no Hamas. My house was bombed in August 15, 2001. There was no Hamas. So the idea is people are brainwashed with this. What I love now is when I go to protest, I see Hispanic community, the Black community, the Asian community, a lot of minority people start understanding, and this is the best movement. Education, students, high schoolers, and college can change the world. They can make a difference. And I encourage, I love it when I watch a video of university students are in camp band, when I watch a video, students now in graduation carrying the Palestinian flag or free Gaza or free Palestine. It warmed my heart. My parents love it. I send videos of all these encampment, all these protests in New York City. I show them that look how many minority people are know about Palestine. Look
How did you feel when we show up and made it?
Oh my God. I sent videos to everybody. I posted my Facebook, Instagram. People in Gaza and in Palestine, they send me messages of love to the Spanish community.
Thank you so much to everyone that showed up on May Day. This was Desde El Sur. Muchas gracias a todos. And I want to give you this regalo or this gift to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Speak up in our behalf. Defend all human rights violation. Talk about it to all your friends. Educate them about the violence happen. Educate them that our tax is paid for all this weapon destruction, killing people. It's not just in Palestine. Look at what happened in Sudan. Look what happened in Somalia. Look at what happened in the Rohingya in Asia. Look at what happened all are in Central America, South America. There's so much violence, and people are benefiting from this violence instead of putting all the money to invest for education, for immigrants, for homeless, for building school, building the infrastructure of this country. So when you vote, think twice before you cast your vote.
Or not just when you vote, but also organizing your community.
Yes.
Organize community bands. Talk about it.
Educate
Question
in the
it.
church. When you meet in the
Question
church
it.
on Sunday, educate people. A lot of people says, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about politics. It's no, talk about politics. You're not going to lose any. Oh, I have a friend. I don't want to talk about politics with them. No, open the conversation. Be civil. Respect each other's opinion. Educate each other. And we learn from each other. I learn so much from my students as much as they're learning from me.
Beautiful. All right, you all. Cuídense mucho. Muchas
Thank you very
gracias por
much.
este mensaje. Gracias por estar acá. Volvemos en un mes más y seguimos con algunos de los programas que tenemos hoy en Radio Jornalera. Y muchas gracias por conectarse. Comparte este link y coméntenos. Ya estamos en Facebook, en Instagram, en Spotify. Nos pueden escuchar ahora ya en Spotify. Muchas gracias. Que pasen bien. Hasta luego.
Desde abajo se defiende a todo mundo. Radio Jornalera, donde tu voz encuentra un eco amplificado, donde tus derechos salen a la luz y disipan el miedo, donde tus aportes a la sociedad se evidencian, donde se reconoce que tus luchas reivindican derechos para todas y todos.